Members of council, can you please come to the council chambers? And members online, if you can turn your cameras on, please. Josh. Okay, members of council, can you put the screen? Okay. Councillor Burnside, Councillor Fletcher, you put your name on? Can you add Councillor Fletcher's name on for questions? Councillor Burnside, are you on the line? Councillor Burnside?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Go ahead. Questions?
Okay, through you to the city manager. So, Mr. Johnson, you mentioned that this was one of many choices. Was this the first choice of city staff, this approach?
We provided a variety of options, so I'm not sure that it wasn't about the choice or the approach. There were a number of approaches that were presented as opportunities to do these types of reviews.
Right, but normally these options are ranked. I have a hard time believing they're all of equal value. So was this the first ranked option, or do you not want to answer the question and that's fair?
I can just say they weren't ranked. There were ones that led to a more of a in the background review of things, which can be done too. This was a bit of a stronger approach to it for sure, but they weren't ranked in any way.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. So I see at the bottom one of the it says that they want to ensure strong governance and operational oversight. Okay, so that seems to be one or two of the goals: strong governance and operational oversight. So, keeping in mind, well, let me ask you this: has the TPA had any operational issues of any magnitude that you're aware?
Not that I'm aware of that would be considered to be large-scale operational issues, no.
Okay. So, the last couple years, 2.5 years, have been a bit of a challenge operationally at the city. And I'm going to give you a few examples. We had the time clock scandal in the Parks Department. We had the inability to staff pools in a heat wave. And we've had well-documented operational issues during the snowstorm. Without naming names, I'm really looking at positions. Apart from yourself, there are 4 other people that would be appointed to this board, or 4 other positions. And are any of these positions, would they also have oversight over any of these 3 major operational issues we've had in the last couple of years?
In terms of those individuals having a direct...
Not individuals, positions. Sorry, I don't care about the individuals, positions. So like, for instance, as the executive director, that position, the executive director of environment, climate, and forestry, would they have any, would any of the operational issues that I mentioned, the time clock scandal in parks, the inability to staff pools in a heat wave, and the well-documented operational issues during a snowstorm, would that particular position have any role with fixing any of the three problems I've mentioned?
No.
Forestry? No?
Forestry is not related to winter, parks, or the other one that you mentioned, pools. No.
How about the general manager of transportation?
So the general manager of transportation is you know, obviously accountable for all the roads pieces, including winter control. Yes.
Okay, so at least two of the five positions, yourself and the general manager of transportation services, would have some sort of
Councillor Burnside,
input.
can you ask a question on what's before us, please?
Yeah, I am. I'm getting there. I'm trying to understand. So here's my ultimate question.
No, hold on.
we
There's a point of order. Hold on. Councillor Perks, point of order.
Our procedure bylaw lays out very clearly that we are not to use our role as councillors to impugn the ability and integrity of members of the public service. And I feel like where Councillor Burnside is going is starting to cross that line.
Yes.
No, Madam Speaker, respectfully, if you let me ask, if you don't want to, if you think the question's not in order, that's fine. But I think I should be allowed to ask the question.
Okay, just ask a question on what we have before us, please, Councillor Burnside.
Well, wouldn't, given that there were no operational issues at the TPA, wouldn't our city staff, wouldn't their time, and I know how overworked you are, wouldn't your time be better fixing the problems that we actually have well documented within the city?
So, Speaker, you know, we're assigned additional work all the time, and there are actually staff time being spent looking at some what I would call some operational issues within the TPA, and one of those reports was dealt with under deferred items today. So we have been involved in it. You talked about major operational issues, so that's why I answered the question the way I did. But you know, certainly multitasking is part of the job.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
My first question is for the Toronto Parking Authority. Who am I directing it to? I asked for the Toronto Parking Authority to be here. Where are they?
No, we didn't invite them.
No, I asked for them.
Yeah.
So where are they?
They're not here.
Why are they not here, Speaker? I asked the Speaker to have them here. I have questions.
No.
So is that your ruling, Speaker?
Yeah.
Is that your ruling that you will not provide them?
Yes, that's correct,
Can I
Councillor
ensure
Holiday.
that is in the minute, please?
Councillor Holiday, do you have a question to the staff?
My next question is to the City Clerk. Can you tell me how many members there are, public members on the Toronto Parking Authority Board? Can you hold my time, please?
Speaker, it's 2 members of council and 5 public members.
How many vacancies are on the Toronto Parking Authority Board right now, and how many of them are filled with members of the public?
Speaker, there are no vacancies at present on the board. There are no vacancies at present.
So the board is sitting here, so can I have a member of the board come to council? It's okay if you need to stand my time down. I have questions about Toronto Parking Authority and their operations.
Speaker, the procedural bylaw refers to agency officials. It does not as of right provide for members to question members of boards.
Okay, so just confirming, the board is full right now. There are no vacancies on the board. And the 2 sitting members are whom?
It's in the motion. Councillor Fletcher.
The current sitting members are whom?
The councillors?
Yes.
Councillor Fletcher and Speaker Nunziata.
So the motion reappoints the same council members but dismisses the public members. Do I understand that correctly? Okay, to the. Did I get an answer to that on the microphone?
It's in the motion, Councillor Holiday.
I just wanted an answer to my question. Can someone hold my time? I know they're hard questions, but.
So if the question is who are the members, it's been answered, and the motion that's before you tonight has those two members in a non-voting capacity.
So they're being taken off and put back on, because it says rescind the appointments of the members of the TPA board. Okay, let's change the questions. The title of this motion is Finding Efficiencies for 2026. What is the status of the budget submission for 2026 from the TPA at this moment in time? And are you going to be able to prepare a governance report review in time for the 2026 budget? That's a lot of work.
To the speaker, so we have received the budget submission from the TPA.
Okay.
In terms of having a governance review completed in time of the budget, it would not be completed in time of the budget. There would, however, be some opportunities to explore some initial findings, as well as we have a 3-year outlook on our operating budget, being able to explore opportunities that would help relieve pressures that exist as part of the 3-year multi-year outlook.
So what is the utility of this motion on the 2026 budget if the submission is already done?
To the speaker, what was submitted to staff, the budget itself is not complete. The budget is still in development. Will come forward in early January.
So what is the utility of the motion that's before us? I realize that the staff didn't write it, but does anyone know what the utility of the motion is? To dismiss the board, launch a governance review, and then put in the preamble that this has to do with finding operational savings for the 2026 budget. It doesn't add up.
So I can't answer all what's behind it. The reality is that the mayor herself, who does present the budget, not staff, we prepare a budget. We do have a launch. The mayor has up until the point at which she presents the budget to council to change that. There would be opportunities for some exploration between the date of this taking effect and the time that the mayor would come forward with her budget.
And item A says the requirements, I'm sorry, I'm slouching over to read this. The requirements for a potential transition to the city's administration or another city agency. So there's an operational governance review, but this sounds like it's dissolving the entire entity. Is that what that says? It becomes part of another agent? Which other agency? Or the city's administration? Is there going to become a Toronto Parking Department?
That was your last question.
So, Speaker, those were examples of what could transpire as you look at different operational models for that. Yes.
Councillor Fletcher, question.
I just wanted to ask a couple of financial questions, because that's one of the reasons why I think the CFO wants to look at some of these efficiencies along with the city manager. And I think it was this year or earlier where there was a plea to reduce the dividend. The Toronto Parking Authority has always had a dividend to the city, and I think it was sitting at 85%, and then it got reduced to 75%. And that was a substantial decrease, but it really starting to look at decreasing the dividend. That happened, I think, in 2024, did it not?
To the speaker, there was a reduction in the income share agreement between the city and the TPA. It was a 2024 to 2026 agreement that is in place that did see the reduction.
That saw a reduction, and I don't think there'd been ever a reduction previous to that, had there?
I can speak from 2006 onwards. There was an increase. There was not a reduction.
So from 2006 to 2024, the dividend was increased, and then in 24, there was a request from management to the board to reduce the dividend at that point, in which the board approved, and it has been lowered to 75%.
To the speaker, that's correct.
That's correct. And so in this motion that looks for efficiencies, there may be some efficiencies. I know IT is a really important area, and we do have a, if I do say so myself, kind of an incredible IT division here at the city, and finding some efficiencies in that way might be helpful to the TPA itself. There's only 260 employees there, so the department is fairly significant, but size matters sometimes with your capacity and your understanding of what I'll call the industry. That might be something that could be looked at and how the city could assist in that, correct?
So the TPA itself has an operating budget expenses alone of about $144 million. Within that are expenses that are services that do reside in other entities here in the city, and there are opportunities to explore for savings through reviewing those and essentially how they're performed, who performs them, and opportunities for savings.
And also, there's a big state of good repair budget that would have to be funded at the moment from revenues from the TPA. So you just want to look and see, are there other ways to look at that? We've done some of these things with other agencies as well, where we've taken that state of good repair off of their books and moved it somehow into the city, because as we know, under modern TO, that the TPA properties actually come under the jurisdiction of the city. I believe I'm right.
Yep, to the speaker, you're correct. And there are, much like there are in many areas in the city, there are state of good repair requirements within the TPA's capital program. The current fiscal model looks at a retained earnings approach to being able to fund those. There are some opportunities to explore an ability to finance those that looks at the useful life of the asset and looks at financing with payments over the term of that useful life to be able to get a greater amount of capital work done to address the needs that exist.
So there's some real positive approaches here, even now, 25, 26 budget. And so this motion is nothing that's just saying there's a lot of revenue there, and could there be other ways of saving money there, assisting in departmental operations from that agency?
There are a series of opportunities both on the operating side and the capital side that this motion would give an opportunity to explore and bring forward any recommendation.
And I know it says to put 2 councillors back on the board. We are on the board, but it's not necessary to put ex officio councillors. Those meetings, I believe, would have to be in public or open to be able to know what's happening. I don't think you're talking about forever. You're talking about a period of time that you're going to do that review, and you need to have some authority and governance authority in order to be able to do that. Am I right?
Correct. There is no intent that this would be a permanent structure.
But you couldn't do that without some governance authority.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mantis, questions?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I guess the question will be to the general manager, to the city manager, or to the CFO. In the name of efficiencies, I understand that there's a governance change. In the name of efficiencies, are we going to also be looking at decreasing the size of the TPA?
So, Speaker, at this point, I don't want to speculate at all as to what we're looking at. I think the CFO is giving you some ideas of the general areas we're looking at. There are ways we can treat capital in different ways by looking at different governance models. Those are the kinds of things we're after. Toronto Parking Authority delivers, good service to Torontonians each and every day. So we're protecting, the operational piece of this, looking for ways, though, to find those efficiencies. But I don't want to go further than that until we get into some of the work.
Fair. Thank you so much.
Point of order, Councillor Bradford.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask the clerks. I see that the mover of the motion, Mayor Chow, is back in the chamber now. Most of my questions, as I indicated, were in fact actually for the mover of the motion. I know Councillor Holyday had questions for the mover of the motion. I know Councillor Burnside had questions for the mover of the motion. So I guess I'm asking clerks, is it possible now for the mover of the motion who has returned to the chamber to answer the questions that her colleagues have right now?
We are not doing a second round of questions, Councillor Bradford.
So just to be clear, is that your ruling?
Yes.
Would the mayor, would you like to answer the questions that we have?
That's my ruling.
Okay, can I challenge the chair? Yep.
Okay, go ahead and challenge, because we're not doing a second round of
Well, I'd like
questions.
to ask the mover, now that she's back in the chamber. That's my right.
You're challenged the chair.
I'd like the mayor to answer the questions.
You're challenging the chair.
You bet.
So vote is the ruling of the chair upheld.
Councillor Cherneslin, please.
Councillor Ainsley. Councillor
Madam
Bravo.
Speaker, I can't get my camera on, but I am here. I will try again.
Councillor Sachs, how do you vote?
I vote to uphold the chair.
Councillor Bravo, how do you vote, please?
Uphold chair.
Sorry. Councillor Prutza, how do you vote, please? The ruling of the chair is upheld. The vote is 14-5.
Councillors as ex officio members, please. I have that. Ask the clerk to prepare that. and-
Have you already submitted it in?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
I'm just looking, so everybody's asked questions. We're not putting anybody else on the list, but I believe that Councillor Carroll at the beginning held their time down. Did she still want to ask questions to staff? Oh, okay, so she's not on the line. Okay. She's going to come back on? Okay. All right. Okay, so we'll go to, speakers? Okay. Councillor Bradford, please stay in your seat. You keep going back and forth, back and forth. Councillor Bradford to speak.
Rise on a order, and I'd like clarification from the clerks. My understanding is that when City Council tries to change a board, the motion has to be submitted in advance because according to bylaws, public appointments must have a notice period. And so I just want to make sure, is this in fact in order? Where was the notice period? You see the city solicitor. This motion was moved without notice, so it would suggest that there was no notice period.
No. Councillor Bradford, there's no notice that's required.
We're giving no notice.
Please, just go ahead and speak. You have 5 minutes.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, could city legal
I
clarify?
just realized we're at speakers, not questions, so I can't answer your question.
Well, I did raise a point of order if you want to respond to that. Okay.
To the speaker.
Okay. Madam Speaker, I'd ask you to kindly reset my time.
No, because
Madam Speaker, please.
I put your time on hold.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I just turned it on now.
Madam Speaker.
I just turned
you
it
have
on.
You have a requirement to objectively discharge your duties as chair. I have not been, thank you.
No,
That's all
but
I'm
I
I'm
did
just
put his
asking you to be
time on
fair.
hold when we were asking the
Speaker.
solicitor questions.
I'm just asking you to be fair. Thank you. Thanks, Madam Speaker. Okay, we're almost there, colleagues. I have a motion here. I have two motions here. The first motion is to delay this for one cycle. I spoke with the city manager. Despite the hyperbole from earlier, it actually would be fine to defer this for one cycle. We're not in any legal jeopardy. And I ask us to consider doing that because we have not been able to have the staff here to answer the questions. The mover of the motion just walked into the chamber but won't answer any questions. So I think it would be fair, prudent to the public before we embark on something that is pretty significant, like blowing up the entirety of a public board. Let's defer this for one cycle, get the folks in the room, have transparency and accountability to the public, and do this the right way. If that fails, I have a second motion, and that is to delete these extraordinary efforts to fire and reform the board in a single shot so that the city manager can rightly focus on the governance review in part 4 of the motion. Colleagues, what we're missing here today was the mayor moving a motion to completely dismantle, blow up a board of a city agency under the guise of, quote, efficiencies. And as we heard from the city manager and the CFO, this is literally the only city agency that generates a revenue. This is a profit center for Torontonians, not a cost center. We heard from the CFO, they literally overperformed expectations last year. So I'm actually trying to understand what the problem is. I have asked questions to the city manager who, with all respect, frankly seems a little out of place on this. And that's because I didn't want to ask the city manager questions. I wanted to ask the mover, Mayor Chow. This is her brilliant idea. I wanted to ask her the questions, but she wasn't here. And then when I asked the speaker, could I have the respect and the ability to ask the mover of the motion, the mayor, any questions? Well, you all saw what happened. Look, this is a highly skilled board, okay? And it's an agency that this council has given nearly an impossible mission to do. Not only have we tasked them with running on and off-street parking, they're also running a successful bike share program. They're also leading on the expansion of electric vehicle charging infrastructure across Toronto. And they're doing all of that while we're taking away their revenue-generating assets, the parking lots, turning them over to build housing on them without providing any compensation, but still demanding a dividend, and then building very little housing on them. It's a joke. And even with all of that, they still was able to toss the city nearly $40 million last year. So when I think about all the problems in the city of Toronto, when I think about the taxpayer who's had to endure a 25% tax increase over the past 3 years, and I think about all the waste, the $2.5 million on stickers on recycling bins, I'm struggling to understand what is the problem here with this agency that's making money for the city of Toronto. I look at this motion from the mayor, and honestly, it's ridiculous. Suggesting that this is about budget pressures. This is not about budget pressures. And Torontonians and the public don't exactly know what this is about because they're not being honest and transparent. They've taken us to the cover of darkness and waited for most of the media. I see the Toronto Stars here. Toronto.ca is still here, but they left. And they did that intentionally.
Hold on.
So that it was done under the cover of darkness.
There's a point of order. Councillor Fletcher.
Honest is a word that you have to be very careful if you're saying somebody is not being honest in this chamber, Speaker.
Be honest with the people of Toronto.
I'm sorry, that wasn't the context, and I think that councillors must be very careful with their language. That includes you, councillor.
No.
Yeah, I agree. I think this council should be honest with Torontonians.
Yes, and you should be very honest and stop grandstanding,
Okay.
Councillor Bradford.
Well, thanks for your editorial, Madam Speaker.
Yeah.
Not necessary, but I think this council should be honest with people. And you know what? We just heard from the city manager who said that there's no issues with the agency's board, and yet they're all getting fired. Why? Why are we firing this board? You're on the board, Madam Speaker. Why are you firing everybody? But I'm not firing everybody.
Or you were on the board, and what did you do?
I didn't fire the board. Like, Madam Speaker, point of privilege, I would like to say that the way that you've been discharging your duties in this meeting, I don't think have been fair and impartial. I don't think that you've been doing it objectively, and I think it's an affront on the democratic process in this chamber. Point of privilege. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I will continue. It feels to me like this is going to be about personnel change. I wonder if in the coming weeks and months, we actually see personnel change at the top of this organization, just like we did with the TTC. And I think a lot of people are going to be asking why. This is abhorrent. I won't be supporting it. Thanks, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
We have So the deferral, we have to, you have 2 minutes to speak on the deferral, and we'll take the vote on the deferral. Does anybody want to speak on the deferral, 2 minutes? No, okay, let's call the question. Okay, Councillor Holiday, you have 2 minutes on the deferral.
I just want to say that I think that this is highly, highly strange that this is before us at the end of a council meeting, late at night, and there's an enormous amount of gravity to what this is all about. I don't see any harm in why we would not want to take a deep breath for at least a month to go and figure out and contemplate how serious this is. I thank Councillor Bradford for suggesting that this be deferred. It just gives us a chance to try to make sense of it all. And as the councillor pointed out, even the motion's preamble talks about the 2026 budget, and then it doesn't match what the recommendations are saying to remove a board and change it around and then conduct a very, very large study that seems like it's going to take a long time. So I think it's prudent to just take a pause and figure it all out. Thank you.
Okay, on the deferral, recorded vote.
Councillor Ainsley, your vote, please. Councillor Perruzza, your vote, please. The motion to defer the item does not carry. The vote is 5-14.
Okay. Councillor,
I would like to be reported in the negative as well.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Oh, okay, she wants to be recorded. Thank you, Councillor Bravo. Oh, yeah, you weren't
Sorry, I'm
present
having
for
a
the
little
vote.
trouble with my mic. Can you hear me? I'd like to be reported in the negative.
Yeah, unfortunately, Councillor Bravo, your camera was not on, so we can't record you.
Madam Speaker, it was on.
Pardon?
Councillor Bravo's camera was on.
Well, I don't know. I'm just going by what the clerk has advised me. Was your camera on? Not during the vote. I'm sorry. Okay, Councillor Holiday to speak.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm just reading some of the budget submission from the Toronto Parking Authority. $180 million in revenue, $135 million in gross expenditures, and a net income of $45 million with 326.5 approved positions, 326 workers in a organization that is being reconsidered on a walk-on motion at the end of council. And a deferral was suggested, and it was heartily voted down. Can you pause my time?
Councillor Fletcher.
This motion was brought on very early today. So the notion that it's a walk-on at the end is simply an incorrect characterization, Councillor Holiday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We did introduce it this morning when we did other members of motion.
A walk-on motion on the last day of council.
Councillor Holiday, please continue.
That is being considered at the end of the council meeting, where I asked to speak to staff from Toronto Parking Authority and was denied by the speaker. I want to make sure that that's in the minutes, and if it doesn't make it, it's on tape. among the most strange, bizarre things I've seen here in a very, very long time, which makes me double down on questions and care in what we're doing. I would just urge members to act very, very carefully on things like this. There's millions of dollars at stake. There's a commission now to go and examine the operations of an organization that I, frankly, as a customer, get very good service from and has made me very happy as a Torontonian. I don't hear a lot of complaints about parking. I really don't. And if you would like to have some free advice from me, take a close look at the bike share program and all of the directives from council that have driven that and the cost to revenue ratio of that. Why don't you start there? But you don't need a consulting team to provide that kind of advice. So I'll leave it to the members of council to muddle through this, but we have barely any information in front of us. We don't have an explanation of why this is urgent, beyond whatever small words are in this motion. We have the indignity of removing a board, which frankly would put a chill on anybody that wants to volunteer their name for public service. And then a whole bunch of questions about the future of an organization with 326 approved positions and where they might go into the future. Been around here long enough to know that often a lot of work goes into making preparations to make decisions like this. I don't see any of it. Awful hasty to me. And I can't imagine what the public and the stakeholders in this organization are imagining when they're looking on to this particular debate. Thank you.
Councillor Fletcher to speak.
I just want to address the governance issues that Councillor Holliday's brought up. This is not about the staff of any agency coming to speak to us. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, I have a motion. Where is it? It's to remove the ex officio positions. Happy to.
Fletcher, you have an amendment
Yes,
on
I
the
do.
screen.
Amending that. Yeah. Apologize for that.
Okay, it's on the screen.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
Okay. So just in the, back to that, the governance issues that we want to make changes of are not something that the staff, I don't believe, have a great deal of, well, maybe interest, but there's nothing that they could tell council because the staff are the staff and the board is put there by city council. That is our authority. It isn't over the staff. But this governance review is to put in place our CFO and in the city manager, but in particular the CFO, to be able to look at finances in a way that is impossible for them to do outside of this approach. The city cannot go into an agency and say, do X, do Y, we want to see this, we want to see that. The only way that can happen is by our city officials having that governance authority. All we're doing is giving them that governance authority. And at that point, they can look at things. I don't think anybody should be worried. I know there's 260 FTEs, Councillor Holladay. Perhaps there's a number of part-timers, but FTEs is 260. And I don't think there's any employee there that needs to worry. There's nobody here saying change everything at the parking authority. It's simply to look, is there some way that out of that dividend that it can be increased? Because that is an agency, unlike others, that is set up, they can change their rates, they can make a lot of money, they do so much good. I agree. Bike share, I know you don't like it, you think it's a waste of time and money, but it's used everywhere. It's a very, very popular program. On the electrification for vehicles, perhaps that could be looked at because the utilization rate isn't as high as it could be. the state of good repair, which is coming up in a massive, massive under here, City Hall, that garage, that's old. It needs to be fixed. Should that be financed by the parking authority, or is there another way to do that? That governance change, and I think in there, thank the board for its service, but the governance change to make other proposals and be able to look deeply at the finances cannot be done any other way. And when we look at the automatic speed enforcement, I know Councillor Cole says how many millions of dollars we need to hire an officer for every place, but we are going to be losing significant revenue. Not that we did it for revenue, but let's be honest, we might lose crossing guards. If there are places that have an ability to increase their revenue to the city, that is also our requirement, our job as city council, and I think we're simply carrying that out. It's impossible for the city manager or the CFO to ask for the information they require deeply and have it delivered unless they have the governance authority, which I hope we will give them tonight. I'm happy not to be on that board. I know Councillor Bradford's been on that board. I've been on that board. Councillor Nunziata's been on that board. We love parking. We love bikes. We like to plug in our cars. But at this point, at this moment, let's have some authority to review if there are other financial arrangements that can be made, given the fact that the authority over all the property at the parking authority was transferred actually to the city a while ago through modern TO. Please don't forget that, colleagues. Thank you.
Councillor Fletcher? Yeah, I'm next to speak.
Oh, yeah. Your timer is on and your speaker's on.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll just speak briefly. I haven't been on the board for quite a while, but I was appointed on the board. And I can tell you, sitting on the board, I can see that there are a lot of efficiencies that we can find. For example, I even mentioned as city manager a few months ago, like their IT department, like that should be in-house, the IT. We can save a lot of money on that. And as well, as you know, Councillor Holiday, you are chair of the audit committee, and the audit committee is, Councillor, the audit committee now is, it's on their list for 2026 to find efficiencies. So hopefully they can find efficiencies through their investigation as well. I think what we're trying to do here in the mayor's motion and the city manager comments is that we're coming up to a 2026 budget. And yes, the parking authority is making revenue for the city, but I believe that we can make more revenue, that we should get more revenue. Yes, and that's what we need to look at. We need to find those efficiencies. We're going to have a tough budget in 2026. And if we have to find efficiencies in all the departments, I think we should be doing that. And today's motion by the mayor, I do support. And Councillor Fletcher, I do support your motion as well. I could be taken off the board. That's not a problem with me. But I think that we're heading in the right direction, and this motion was not underhanded. We presented this motion first thing in the morning. If it wasn't held down, we could have dealt with it early this afternoon, but it was held down, and that's why we're debating it at this hour in the evening. We could have dealt with this motion earlier, even after lunch. So thank you, Mayor Chow, for your motion, and Councillor Fletcher, I will be supporting your motion as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Next speaker is Mayor Chow.
Council member, my apology that I had to be absent for a little bit of time. Councillor Shelley Carroll and I were at the chief of police It's a gala dinner in support and fundraise for the Victim Services of Toronto. And it was a very important event. And the minute I finished speaking, I ran out the door and came right back. Okay? But there were a huge number of people, and it would be not very proper for me not to be there. And of course, I have to. And Councillor Carroll, because she's the chair of the Police Service Board, she has some duties, and that's why she's still there. I think I heard some of the conversation, and in fact, I listened it through YouTube while I'm coming back, trying to get back as quickly as possible. A lot of you asked the question, why? It's a very good question. Why? Why is it? I just want to say, remember that the funding that we are receiving from the Toronto Parking Authority is through city's asset. Those parking lots belong to the City of Toronto, belong to the people of Toronto. Okay? And yes, it's yielding dividends to us, which we're very thankful. However, there are other ways we could raise some funds in terms of efficiency. Some of you asked that question, why now? Let me be precise. And I don't do things without thinking things through, okay? Because I looked at this year's budget. It's a tough budget. You just heard a speech that I just mentioned about losing $100 million from the speed camera, okay? And we have to find money. We're not going to lay off the 900 crossing guards. There are other challenges. So what kind of efficiency, you ask, we might get, and why now? The city CFO is putting the budget together. It needs to come together in end of November and December. He's going to present it in January 8th. There is not a lot of time. Okay? And where are the efficiencies? Let me tell you. Insurances, technologies, for example, the cyber security. You may not have noticed, it took us through this council on both matters. We needed to give direction to the Toronto Parking Authority to ask them to cooperate with us, to join with us. Before there was some resistance. Okay? And of course, when we purchase it together, we would be able to have efficiencies. Let me give you another example. Their budget, the capital budget, is $400 million. And some of these are capital budgets. In this time, we cannot spend 100% operating dollars in all capital expenditure. We issue debts. We have a $60 billion capital budget and an $18 billion operating budget. We have a lot of limitations on the operating budget. Why? It's because we had that $1.8 billion budget hole that we had to find money for. And we're climbing out of it, which is why our credit rating, for the first time in 23 years, have gone up to AA+. So I'm extremely cautious in how we could find funds and how we use our funds. And does it make sense to spend hard cash when we're having trouble balancing the book in the operating budget in getting to pay this $300 million operating dollars? Why can't we at least have some debt financing on it so that we can, in fact, take some of the operating dollars? There are other efficiencies we can talk about. If you want to join the budget committee, there could be examination of it. I notice my time's up. And I'm willing to answer any questions you want. It's just I wasn't being able to be here on time. And I apologize for that. So there's nothing underhanded here. There's always been discussion. Does it matter? Does it make sense for us to consolidate our operations so that we can be able to find efficiencies? And this time, I find that it's my responsibility and all of our responsibility to find ways where we could work together to find the efficiencies so that we're going to be able to deliver a budget in a way that is the most responsible and most caring and most affordable to the people that we serve, which is why there's the motion in front of us.
Thank you. We do have questions for you. Councillor Bradford.
Thanks, Madam Speaker, and thanks for joining us, Madam Mayor. Could you let us know when you made the decision to blow up the board on the Toronto Parking Authority? Sorry, remove everyone from the board, all the public appointees, and I guess now the councillors too. When did you make that decision? When did you decide to remove everybody from the board?
There was this.
They're still on the board.
Yes, they are still on the board. There had been conversation with our city staff, and there were conversations as to what is the best way. I had conversations with Councillor Fletcher and Councillor Nunziata, who is on the board. I seek their advice.
Did you speak to any of the public board members before you brought this forward?
I did.
What was their feedback?
I spoke to the chair of the board.
Okay, so the chair.
I thank him for his incredible service for 6 years. He did very good work. I heard you mention it. You talked about bike share. You talked about the 500 plus.
Is the chair no longer on the board?
The chair, I believe, yesterday resigned. Okay, because he
chair resigned.
I did not know about it. He told me this morning.
Before or after the motion? Do you think the chair knew that you were bringing the motion?
Before. No, there's no conversation.
Did the chair know the motion was coming, do you think? And
no.
Maybe that's why they resigned?
Absolutely not.
Oh, really?
Absolutely not, Councillor Bradford.
And when you had a conversation with the chair.
But may I just finish answering the question?
Well, I'm not.
Well, let me answer.
Councillor Bradford, please.
Whoa.
You're not in court. Okay, just wait until the answer.
You asked me about.
I asked you about the conversation with the chair.
Let me tell you about the conversation. I thank him for his work. He has just is appointed to the LCBO in June of this year. He's done 6 years of good work at the Toronto Parking Authority, and he felt that it is time for him to move on. It is not at all connected as what's in front of us. Absolutely not.
So let me ask this then as a follow-up to that, because you answered the question.
So
the follow-up is why?
Sir, please allow the mayor to answer the question.
I'd like to ask a follow-up if I may.
No, Councillor Bradford, please let the mayor answer.
I'm done, almost done.
Okay, thank you.
We had a half-hour conversation where I thank him for his work on whether it's on EV charging station, on bike share, on the dividends, the state of good repair.
So for my final question, was it the chair's view that you needed to remove the entire board to be able to find efficiencies at the Toronto Parking Authority?
The difference is this. It's either a city-owned, either it's within the city's operation or it's not. If it is not a city-owned operation, there are limitations on what one could do. If it is a standalone agency, it is governed in a different way. So capital budget, for example, the debt, if we decide to have and use the corporate debt, our way of dealing with capital budget, You can't do that as an arm's length agency. So it's not whether this board, whether it should be on the board or who's on the board, whether the board exists, whether there's anything wrong with the board. That is not what is in front of us. The question is, should this agency be an arm's length agency or should it be operated by the City of Toronto?
So then is your intent to dissolve the Toronto Parking Authority as an agency and bring it into the City of Toronto? Is that your
We don't
intent?
know that at this point.
So then
because
why
they
would
are
you
doing a
remove the
study.
board?
Please
Why
allow the
would you
mayor to
have a board?
answer.
Why would you have a board of directors
'Cause it
when
still
you are
exists.
looking at the entire service?
Why
right?
wouldn't you?
Well,
I don't understand why them being there today doesn't allow you to do that. You should support my motion then, which is to say, go ahead with the governance review, but don't wipe out the entire board.
No, you can't.
I don't know why both things can't be
Okay,
true.
Councillor
It is
Bradford.
contradictory.
Councillor Bradford, please let the mayor respond, and your time is up anyway. Okay, thank you. Councillor Holiday?
To the mayor, I've got the 2026 Toronto Parking Authority operating budget in front of me. They filed it online. And I'm looking at it, it's very similar to last year's. This is $183 million in revenues, $140 million in expenditures, $42 million in net income, same number of positions. The net income is down slightly, but there's some notes here as to why. So I just want to follow on Councillor Bradford's question. You need to have a board in place to govern the agency right now. And currently it's a mix of councillors and public members, and then it's going to be shifted to an in-house board. But what is the utility of shifting it away from the current board to the public service if the budget submission is already set for the next year?
Well, we haven't accepted this. We have not accepted their submission. I have faith in our public servants that they can find, and that's what they tell me, that they can find efficiencies within the existing operation of the Toronto Parking Authority. I believe that they would be able to do so, which is why they are going to be on the board. It's not as if the board would not exist, it's just a different membership of the board. I want to trust our public servants, especially our chief financial officer, that he would be able to look through the books, not on small items, but on different matters in here, whether it is EV off-street. And remember, we are the ones that provided $3 million for the bike share for it to expand to outside the downtown core, okay? We also provided funds on the EV charging station. So there has been a lot of conversations between the different, whether it's parking authority staff or city staff. I believe the governance at this time with our city staff, our public servants, would be able to yield more efficiency from Toronto Parking Authority because I have faith that they would be able to do so.
So by saying that, then did you not have faith in the previous board that they could operate this competently? Or I shouldn't say govern this competently. It's operated by the staff, who I'm sure are the ones that prepare the budget. But I'm just trying to square all of this up. It's so, I hope you understand, it's so unusual to my eyes to see a board pushed out without a clear explanation.
The budget is going to be in front of you.
It's right here.
In January 8th. That is their submission.
Okay.
You have not seen the City of Toronto analysis of their submission, have you, Councillor? You haven't.
No.
So how do you know what would be their analysis?
Perhaps you've seen
Okay,
it. I don't.
have you, well, no, I haven't, but have you read the report that came to us asking us for direction regarding cybersecurity and technology,
Well,
or TPA? You have seen that?
I'm aware of some
Okay,
of that.
insurance, did you see that report in front of us? about insurance, PPA insurance. Again, seeking our direction. If there wasn't any resistance on working with us, why would it have to come to council for direction and for approval?
So then that's an issue with
Why?
the board. Right? Is that your concern with the board, is they weren't doing those things?
It's not necessary. Well, don't you think that cybersecurity is important? Remember the Toronto Zoo and the Toronto Library? They operated separately in terms of their technology. Their cybersecurity operated outside of the city of Toronto, and Toronto Zoo got attacked. And so did the library, and it caused immense amount of problems.
I hear
And
cybersecurity.
when they come in to the city of Toronto, because we have one of the most secure cybersecurity, other than New York, we're very, very, very secure in terms of
How much?
in North America. So we want different agencies to come and join with the city of Toronto
Maybe a
so they would
dollar
be
amount.
protected
A
by.
percentage.
Okay, last question,
So
Councillor Holiday.
they could be protected within the city process.
On $183 million, $140 million, and 42 net, how much savings do you expect?
I think
The
it's
public
at
service to find.
513.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Holiday. Well, it is on the audit agenda, so we'll be able to find out soon, Councillor Holiday, as chair of the audit committee. Yeah. Councillor Burnside, questions to the mayor?
Yes, please. Thank you, Madam Speaker. So, Mayor Chow, you weren't here when I asked Mr. Johnson some questions, but one of my questions was in regards to capacity of city staff, the 5 board members who are from within senior management at city staff, if he felt they would have the capacity to do their job. And, he was quite confident they would be able to. So, in that vein, will you be able to, can you guarantee us that we will not be expanding senior management at city staff, like adding more deputy city managers or adding a position?
No, they are not asking. I don't believe the city staff is asking for extra positions. And
Okay, that's fine.
They have the capacity.
Yeah, it just seems every year we keep asking for more positions. So, okay, that's fine. And could you just iterate what why you, I believe you said you prefer to get away from the agency model and bring it in-house. And you made a couple points that I thought were interesting, why you preferred the in-house model as opposed to the agency model. Could you just repeat those?
I don't want to preempt the study. They are, the staff is doing the study. So, but I do know that in terms of capital financing, for example, there's advantages. There are advantages in terms of cybersecurity, for example.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so just my last question. Would this be something that we should look at regarding the TTC as well? Maybe down the road, next year?
Well, that conversation have gone on for about 4 decades, Councillor, regarding whether TTC should have a all councillors board, all different TDC is fine the way it is. I don't see, and their budget is enormous, $1.3 billion. And I see no reason to ask for a study of that magnitude in terms of changing the governance. And there
That's
have
interesting.
been, I just
Okay,
want to
well,
know, I want you to know, Councillor, there have been lots of conversation in the past, at least 15, 20 years ago, regarding the governance of TTC. So that issue has been studied fairly extensively. This issue in terms of Toronto Parking Authority, I believe in 2017, there was a change at that time where there was a conversation as to whether it should be in-house or not. And there was a review. And then I believe in and then a few years later, there was a decision to keep it arm's length. So TPA have had, it's certainly not the first time the city council have considered this issue. The last
For the
time.
TPA. That's
For
for the TPA, you
Toronto
mean?
Parking Authority. I think there was
Okay,
one
yeah.
conversation at July of 2017 at that time, and then later on
Okay.
there was another conversation in 1998, and then it became part of the larger restructuring in 1998.
Fair. Yeah,
and
fair.
there was amalgamation at that time.
Okay, yeah,
So
fair. I know, I
there's
was really
been,
just kind of more, you
yeah,
just
so
mentioned that they talked
1998
about.
was
Okay.
bringing North York and Parking Authority of Toronto together, merging with other municipalities. There was a merger, and then in 2017.
No, I don't need that. Thank you
I
very
just
much.
want to give you some historic
I
background.
appreciate I really cherish your, appreciate your extensive answer. I guess I was really kind of more wondering if that would be a model, because you mentioned the TTC looking at it 40 years ago, and I just kind of figured a lot had changed since then. But that's fine. I do really appreciate your answers. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Last speaker, Councillor Perruzza.
Thank you, Speaker. I have an amendment which I'd like to make. Maybe you can put it. And it basically asks for the new board to report before the end of the term next year, several months from now, on a recommended new structure for the parking authority going forward. Speaker, you know what? Normally, I would be nervous about this activity, this action tonight. In fact, when it was first brought forward, I was very, very nervous because we were doing something that I didn't quite understand, and it wasn't in full public display. I understand it far clearer now. Here's what we're doing. We are replacing a board with a new board of professionals. They're going to meet 3 times a year. We're adding one meeting every 4 months to their workload. People that we entrust to run this city, and people who are ultimately, aside from being an independent external board or appointee, they're people that are responsible to the city council. To some degree, the actions that the mayor's taken tonight reins it in. I don't think I have difficulty with that. We're not jeopardizing the productivity of the parking authority. We're not altering the equation. We're not, the dividend isn't all of a sudden going to shrink or any of those things. In fact, if anything, we are going to have a magnifying glass, a much bigger magnifying glass on an institution that, quite frankly, from my get-go, has always had issues with it. If you live long enough, you get to see it a few times. I have lived long enough, and I've gotten to see it a few times. I got elected to North York City Council. North York City Council didn't have a parking authority. I was a new guy, just fresh out of school, no gray in my hair. And folks walked into my office and said, Perruzza, can you support the creation of a parking authority here in North York? We'd like to have your vote to do that. And I thought, why? How are we doing it now? Well, Brian Ruddy, the Commissioner of Transportation, now runs our parking. I thought everybody speaks so highly of Brian Ruddy, the Commissioner of Transportation. Why would we take that role and give it to an independent lot and create this arm's length thing to do something that we are doing so well right now? Well, later I found out that, the Board of Controls had just been abolished, And it was a way of creating an authority to give the senior position, the general manager position, to a former Board of Control member who was no longer on the Board of Control, and the salary that he was coming in with was somewhere in the $150,000 or $160,000 range, when city councilors were making 25, and the mayor just a little beyond that. Well, we finally were able to rein in the salary, and we leveled it off somewhere around $80,000. But yes, we created a parking authority. Did parking in North York evolve into a much more efficient institution and place as a result of us creating that arm's length thing? Or could Brian Ruddy have done it better? I don't know, right? I thought we were doing it well enough. All I know is that we've had some issues with the parking authority in the past, and we probably should have done something like this, 5, 6, 7 years ago. We didn't do it. Okay, fine. Missed the opportunity. If before the end of the term, a report comes in, it says, you know what, we should bring it back in-house, and it should report through the General Government Committee, with the general manager, or the infrastructure committee, and you councillors there, and then the city council gets to manage parking across the city of Toronto, and it becomes very, very organized and very, very political, but to some degree also very, very efficient. I've never, create TO, and I remember I was here.
5 seconds,
I don't want to
Councillor.
digress, but yeah.
But Councillor Prusa, you're absolutely right. Okay, let's put the motions on the screen. We're ready to vote. Okay. Motion by Councillor Fletcher first. On favor? Carried. It's on the screen. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, next. Pardon?
Speaker, we're going to vote on Councillor Bradford's motion, but Council has just voted to delete certain portions. So it's the balance of Councillor Bradford's motion minus the portion that Council has just deleted.
Yeah, but
Councillor Bravo, how do you vote, please?
In the negative.
Councillor Perruzza, how do you vote, please?
Councillor Prutza.
Councillor Perruzza, your vote? The motion 1B does not carry. The vote is 4 to 15.
Prutza's ward, Councillor Prutza's ward. Councillor Perruzza's motion, on favor, carried. On the item, recorded vote. As amended.
Councillor Grisanti, please.
Councillor Bravo, please.
In favor.
Councillor Perruzza, please. The item as amended is adopted. The vote is 15 to 4.
Okay, I believe we have one more item left. Okay, MM 3424, who held the item down? Councillor Holiday, you have questions? Okay, if you can put your name on the screen. Yeah. Councillor Holiday, questions? If I can have silence, please.
Could the solicitor tell me what the direction to the city solicitor means in number one? Vigorously oppose what? Which proceedings? Do you have things going on? Have you come to us
Well,
for instructions?
In truth, Madam Speaker, I don't think it means anything because my staff would always vigorously defend the city's interests, and my staff are doing that currently.
Okay,
I'll ask that you go
hold
ahead with
on,
orders.
hold on, everyone. I think we're losing quorum. We're losing quorum because everybody's put their coats on, they're ready to walk out. Okay, I don't think we're going to be able to deal with this item. We'll have to defer this item, Councillor Fletcher.
Okay.
Because we don't have quorum. They've all left. Councillor Bradford left as soon as the vote was taken, and everyone else is leaving. We don't have enough members. Okay, let's just do the bills. Let's move, defer this item to the next council meeting. On favor, carried. Members, before I ask for motion to enact the general bills, may I have a motion regarding the consideration of submissions on zoning bylaw and official plan amendments? Moved by Councillor Matlow. Councillor Matlow, if you can read the motion.
Could you put it up on the screen?
That the committee and council considered submissions in making a decision on zoning bylaw and official plan amendments.
Okay, on favor, opposed, if any, carried. May I have a motion to introduce the general bills? Councillor Perruzza, do you want to read that one?
That leave be granted to introduce bills 1280 to 1368.
Okay, shall leave be granted to introduce these bills on favor? Show of hands carried. Shall these bills be declared as bylaws and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006? All in favor, carried. May I have a motion to introduce the confirmatory bills? Moved by Councillor Ainslie.
That leave be granted to introduce bills to confirm to the point of the introduction of this motion the proceedings of City Council meeting number 34 on November 12th and 13th, 2025.
Shall leave be granted to introduce these bills? On favor, opposed, if any, carried. Shall these bills be declared as bylaws and be passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act? Please, any quorum. 2006, all in favor, opposed, if any, carried. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you to staff. Thank you to members of the council. Okay.
I'm going to come for this in the morning. Yeah. For fuck's sake, did I win that?